PRI 2024, Hidden Horsepower, episodes from the booth. They have become a big part of PRI, at least for me. Hi everybody, I'm Joe Castello, joined by Lake Speed Jr. and 2024 and six-time Pro Stock World Champion, Greg Anderson. How's that sound?
It's got a kind of a nice ring to it, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you think?
I love it.
Yeah, 6
You
is
like
the
it?
right round number, but you know what? 7 sounds pretty good too, right?
7's even better. That's,
Well, that would
I've
make
been an
them-
oddball anyway. I like odd numbers, so 7 sounds good to me.
Seven, yeah. Big year
I
though.
can just stay alive that long.
Big year. Like it was a tough year, adversity-filled year, struggle, strife. To think that it ended with a championship, it's pretty amazing.
It was certainly not easy, Joe. It was not an easy year. A lot of challenges, as you said, but you know, it's the way it should be. It should be hard. It should be the hardest thing you ever do, and it was this year. And somehow, some way, we came out on top.
Yeah.
I say it's a comeback, right? I mean, to enter the last race where you did,
It was.
and that was pretty that's like a walk-off moment.
I'm going to think that, you know, the whole world was not betting on me to be the champion. I'm not just going to put that out there. I was probably not the favorite, but I was a dark horse. And honestly, it wasn't even a long shot. It was just a matter of who's going to perform the very best at the very last race. And it just happened to be us. So I'll take it.
The winner-take-all final round. After dark at Pomona. There have been so many other moments. You think about Alan Johnson and Tony Schumacher, the run.
Yeah.
This is one of those for Pro Stock. This was a historic moment that kids will recount their having been there for years to come.
I feel it was, you know, and I've been there many times on the sidelines watching those. I watched Tony Schumacher do what he did to Doug Coletta there, and I can remember it like yesterday in my mind. I forget what year it was, but Jason Line and Eric Anders came down to the final round at Pomona at night for everything, for the title, and darkness is set. It's just the whole setup and the surroundings there. It's just surreal. It's awesome, and to stand outside and watch it, it was just the coolest thing ever. And I thought, man, hopefully sometime in my lifetime I'll get a chance to be one of those two guys on the starting line with all the marbles on the line on the last run. And lo and behold, it happened, and we came out on top. So it was great. It was fantastic.
It's just like
I couldn't draw it up any better.
Well, right, exactly.
Well, as a competitor, there's always that little bit of like nervous energy,
Yep.
you know, before you go up there. That had to be a kind of a special energy, right?
That was a new level. That was
I would
definitely a
think
new
so.
level, but honestly, Lake, that's kind of what I need. You know, I've been doing this a while, obviously, and you know, made a million runs down the racetrack, so I kind of need that extra pressure, that extra boost, whatever you want to call it. Everything on the line, I need that to get my heart started, and it certainly did. And you know, it was kind of funny too, because I've told this story a couple times, but I was getting buckled in the car, ready to start my car to go up for the burnout, and I look through my windshield and I see all these people in the grandstands. Grandstands are full and it's dark out and it's a perfect scenario. And the next thing I know, John Force comes over this close to my windshield and points his finger in my windshield and says, "Get it done, kid." I could read his lips. "Get
What?
it done, kid."
I didn't hear this.
Yes, and it was like, that is the coolest thing I've seen, not only just to have him back,
Yeah.
right? And that tells you drag racing's going to be all right again.
Yes.
To have him back, but then to come to my car and do that, it just, if that wasn't worth the 2000s, that was the difference of the win. I'll eat my shorts, because absolutely that meant a lot to me, and it's just all that went into this whole deal. There was just a lot of cool things happened, and pressure through the roof, and we came out on top.
The guys you were competing against, of course, Aaron Stanfield. We're going to hear from Aaron and Greg later on in the weekend here at Hidden Horsepower from PRI. But Young Guns and Dallas Glenn, who is a kid that he started his pro stock career. You know, I think, and Lake, we talk about it on Hidden Horsepower, like what's advice for the next generation? They say, grab a broom, sweep the floor, open your ears, and listen. That's what Dallas Glenn is. That's the person. Now he's driving a pro stock car, and you had to race him in the final round, and it was kind of like a, you know, old guys, young guys vibe in that final.
It was, and I think that's what makes pro stock so great right now. You have the young guns like that, and it's deep. We got a lot of them, right?
Yes.
But you still have some of the old guys, and I'm not going to consider Erica Enders old, but she's been out here a while, like I have, right?
Yeah.
So we're the senior citizens out there, and somehow, some way, I keep saying is, how do we keep holding them off? Because these kids are so good, they're in great equipment, and they could care less that you've got 100 wins or you've got 6 championships or whatever. When they pull up in that other lane, they just know they're going to beat you. They got that much confidence, and they usually prove it. They can do it. So to come out on top over the young guns again, that's a special feeling again too.
on the incredible depth in the field right now. When you look at Pro Stock right now, it is razor thin margins. It is incredible how close you guys are every single week.
Yes, it is, and that just tells you, obviously, there's a lot of great people working in this class. There's a lot of great talent. There's a lot of great equipment to be found. Obviously, you guys do your part. You're a huge part in the horsepower gains, but unfortunately, I'm not the only one that learns this stuff. All these other guys learn it too, and you do great for the industry. So it just comes down to where you've got a class that's so tough, so tight, and I used to tell everybody, you kind of got like, three elements. You got the driver, you got the car, and you got the engine, and it's a third. It's really honestly not that anymore, because the engines are so equal, the cars are so equal. Now the driver is probably, I don't know, he's probably 2/3 of the equation now. So that doesn't portray into a 63-year-old man's game plan, right? That's the opposite of what I want. That's what these young guys want. So they've got what they want right now, and somehow we've been able to hold them off. But I should stop saying that, because I know it's going to happen. They're going to win. And Dallas, he did a great job. Aaron Stanfield did a fantastic job, and I know they want to hang their head after that loss, but it was just flat a great race altogether. Three great racers going at it, and three great race teams going at it, and it was my day. It's just simple as that. It was my day.
Back to that preparation, right? It's all season you guys are working and building, and that struggle that it takes to get there is what kind of forges your mettle to be able to not crack under that pressure.
Yeah, well, I tell everybody this, that these races really, honestly, are won or lost in our race shops, where we build the power, where we build the race cars. If you show up at a race without a great product, like we have been lately, you're not going far. You're not going to be a hero. You're going to look like a zero. So, it's all about shop work and finding horsepower, and you guys here at Total Seals have done so much for our race program. It's incredible, and as I said, I wish I could just have you for myself, because it's been great. But I got to share you guys. I got to share.
Lake is on the inside. I am a casual, affiliated. But for the layman out there who is interested, like, all right, man, this guy who won the race, they're building the engines, they're researching the parts, and they're working with Total Seal. Like, what are some of the things that makes the difference?
Well, you're constantly in a pro stock engine. You're constantly looking and trying to find 1 or 2 horsepower, Joe. And you start with your short block basically, or your block, your connecting rod, your piston rings, and you just throw them together, right? Well, not in pro stock. You don't just throw them together. You massage every piece that goes into it, and you try to come up with new technology every day to make that piston ring better, that piston better, that connecting rod better. It's all a package, and people ask every day, well, how can you continue making a block that's been worked on for 20 years better? And it is a crazy question. It is a valid question, but that's why, because all these great vendors we deal with, like Total Seal, are constantly doing exactly what we do. They're constantly trying to make their product better. They're trying to make a better widget, right, to make more horsepower, and we're the benefactor of that. So thank the world for all of our great supporters that do that. That's why we're able to make more power every year.
Incredible.
It's going to sound like a broken record, but the honing part is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Where we were 5 years ago in honing, where we are now.
Yeah.
We've come so far primarily because we have different tools now that can measure more precisely.
Correct.
We went from a Dalbor gauge and maybe an RK or an RA number. Now we've got Mark software where we can see the actual traces, and we're studying variances between the spacing of the valleys. Not just looking at RPK or RVK, we're looking at the actual trace itself and looking for things there, and there's a little bit of magic in here. So we have 2 different blocks that have the same numbers, but they actually have different traces, and one of those is going to run better than the other one.
And the layman eye, or the guy that's got the best vision in the world, got whatever 10-10 vision, or whatever the best vision a person could have, you can't look at that cylinder wall and tell that difference, but the TraceBoss software can. It can tell you. So that's been a real eye-opener for us, and it's accelerated our program a bunch, because you used to just hone a block and look for the basic round numbers that you liked. You had no earthly idea what else went into that, but you got your numbers, so it must be good. Well, now we know that can be not good sometimes. There's a lot of ways to get those numbers, and the TraceBoss software shows you exactly the best way to get those numbers. So it's fantastic.
And you've been so good to allow us to come in and do some of that work and give real-world examples that people can go do themselves. And I know from people that have contacted me that when they do what we showed them to do, like we did on my dad's block, it works for them just as good as it did for us.
Absolutely.
And that's a big change. In the old days, that would have never, ever happened.
And the bottom line is, like, we all like to learn, so if I can help someone else learn, I'm learning at the same time. I'm one of these guys that never put any time into honing a block, never really worried about how it was done. It's got to be close enough, right? And now we realize that there's a lot of steps towards making the perfect cylinder, making the perfectly round cylinder, making the perfect finish. I want everybody to learn. Just like I learned, I want everybody to learn.
We all get better together, because you'll find something, we'll find something, and as you begin to share, everyone gets better.
Yep.
That just makes the competition better, which brings it down to where you can have 3 cars in the last race, all with a chance to win. They're all this close because
Absolutely.
everyone's good.
And it makes your racing so much better. And really, it's not just pro stock. It's every class out there has elevated their game in the last 2 years. And these are all the reasons why. It's just had a lot more knowledge out there than there used to be. Simple as that. A lot better tools.
All right, so what's new for KB Titan Racing Engines in 2025?
Well, Joe, we don't have anything earth-shattering coming down the line. We're just working every day trying to find, going through these same processes, and daily, things change daily with new developments, right? So you're trying to find new things, new ways of doing things, new ways to measure things, new ways to build things. A lot of that, as far as my race team, it looks like every customer that I've raced with for the last 2-3 years are all coming back, going to race again. So we've got stability that way. As far as employees, I don't have any defectors. Nobody's leaving the building. So the team's intact. Everything's great. That's exactly all you can ask for at the end of a season. Looking forward to a new season, that you don't have to shake things up completely, start over with new employees, new technology, new parts, new pieces. It's basically starting at the level we were at and just trying to get it a little bit higher yet.
Can you evaluate the personal performance of Joey Gladstone?
Joey Gladstone, boy, he takes great care in his dogs. He does a great job with his dogs.
Okay.
In fact, he's having puppies this weekend.
Oh, really? He's having them?
Yeah, he's having puppies. Well, he's not having them, but he's probably going to help deliver them.
All right.
He's so doggone excited about having puppies.
Now, he's a friend, Joey's a friend, and I admire him and Corey.
Yep.
Corey Reed, what a great job he did jumping behind the wheel of the Pro Stock car. It's not easy, and he did pretty well.
He did great. He did fantastic, and the two are... they're funny. They're great, and they've been just a breath of fresh air to our race team. They look at things different than we do. It's that young generation, and they flat look at things different than we do, and it's like, I'll be damned. They might have a point there. They see things. I don't care. They're up on today's times, and apparently I'm a little behind on today's times. So they've educated me in a lot of ways, and it's been a lot of fun, and there's a great future for the both of them. I think someday we'll probably see Joey in a pro stock car also, but right now it's Corey's time, and Corey showed last year what he can do. He's going to be a threat this year. He's going to be a major threat this year, and I love that about him. He loves doing what he's doing. He loves a new challenge. He loves his look, his caveman look.
Yeah.
That seems to have caught on these days. So, 10 years ago, I would have probably turned my nose up at that and said, what's wrong with these kids? But today I say, it's pretty damn cool.
I love that. I love that. So 18 races next year.
Yep.
No Chicago, no Epping.
Yep.
But everywhere
else. No Chicago,
else.
no Richmond.
No Chicago, no Richmond. Sorry, Epping, my mistake.
Yes.
Okay, you can deal with that.
I can deal with it. Yeah, it's obviously I want to race every weekend, Joe. I want 40 races, but that's me. I'm the old racer in the crowd, and most of these people that do it now, some of them have other jobs. They have a weekly job, right? So to chase them around the country 20 sometimes a year is a lot. It's asking a lot. So it just fits with the bulk of the class. It fits with their schedule a lot better to run 18 races versus 20 or 22. So as times change, you got to change with the times. That's the way it is now in racing, and I'm fine with it. And the bottom line is that's still 18 chances to go win a Wally. So it ain't 20, but it's 18. That's not so bad.
7 championships. Lake said it earlier. The numbers, though, the stacking up of the numbers. You got Bob Glidden. You got you guys. You, Warren, Erica. Like, that's amazing. Yeah. But to be able to be the lone person behind Bob Glidden, different era. Yeah. Some might say, 10 is unrealistic for anybody starting now. Yeah. But just, are you a look at your resume stats kind of guy? Is that something you're shooting for?
Not necessarily, Joe, and I don't necessarily know that it's not achievable. probably isn't for me because of my age, right? But if you look at guys like Aaron Stanfield, Dallas Glenn, and all these young guys that are doing it now, and they're in their 20s, they got a lot of time to win 10 championships. They're already winning races, and they're threats to win championships, so it's going to happen someday. It probably won't come from me because I'm kind of at the end of my career, but it's records are made to be broken, Joe, and they will be broken someday, so hope I'm around to see it.
That is awesome. Greg, tremendous job. And accomplishing at PRI, going and seeing everybody. I appreciate you taking the time to come by the Total Seal booth.
Yeah, well, it's a great show, Joe, and I can't thank you guys enough. As I said earlier, a great part of our program. But yes, just to be here at PRI, it's my people. It's where I live. So yeah, it's great to be here.
What about Hartford?
Exactly.
Got any?
Who?
Right.
Is he around, by the way?
He's not here now.
Is he a no-show?
Well, back to having a real job. Having a real job has things to do.
He's running the ship. He sends the emissaries out here. He trusts us out here.
We'll go with that. Somebody got to work. Okay, I get it. Okay, all right. Fair enough.
Greg, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Joe.
6-time
World
champion.
Appreciate everything you guys do.
106 wins now?
106.
106, that finals win. 106 is unbelievable. Here, PRI 2024 in the Total Seal booth, another Hidden Horsepower. Hey everybody, welcome back to Hidden Horsepower, presented by Total Seal Piston Rings. I'm Joe Castello. We are at the PRI Trade Show 2024 in the Total Seal booth, 1525, been here for a long, long time. Really cool though, I got my partner in crime, Lake Speed Jr. We have got a 16-year-old sensation, London Zapzulka, has Lake, we've been talking about the next generation for a long time. This is him.
Right.
We've got
here,
it.
the unicorn's here.
Finally, we have found the next generation. And what does it mean to be in the next generation of engine builders and high performance? London, why don't you tell us what your accomplishment was? What did you do that landed you on Hidden Horsepower?
So I built a completely homemade and 3D printed, mostly started off 3D printed, completely made internal combustion engine. It started off with a lot of 3D printed parts like the piston, the connecting rod, crankcase. It's all 3D printed, and it just eventually evolved into homemade aluminum pistons. And I got a sponsorship from a company because of my YouTube channel, and I got a titanium connecting rod made for my engine.
Okay, that's insanity. What inspired you to start 3D printing internal combustion engine pieces? Like, where's the origin of this passion?
Right.
I think it's been in my DNA because my biological father, he was a gearhead, engines, everything. He actually built a 1967 Le Mans. It's a naturally aspirated 454 big block that he bored out to 496, 1,000 horsepower NA. I think it's in my DNA.
Yeah, I'm going to say so. You just routed off stats that most people wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Right? That's amazing.
Okay, I might have said it, but how old are you?
16.
16 years old. They exist, Lake.
They do.
They exist. All right, so the platform of the engine you 3D printed, what is it? What was it, something you came up with on your own, or just?
There was no inspiration from it. I just sat down at a CAD software and designed an engine.
I love you.
Yes.
You're awesome.
Yeah.
You are one of us. Just telling you that right now.
Yeah.
Remember the name. He's going to be around in the future because anyone that just decides, you know what, I'm going to build an internal combustion engine.
Let's get on
I'm
CAD.
I'm going to draw it up in CAD and I'm going to print it out.
And put down the PlayStation, and we're going to get on the CAD, and we're going to design an engine, and oh yeah, by the way, it runs. It runs. So could take me through that experience, though. Like, there had to be some trial and error, and you wanted it to run, but like you didn't quit. You kept at it.
Yeah, so it was about 6 months from the first time I sat down at a computer for CAD designing to the time I got it to run. I started off with a 4-stroke engine, fully 3D printed ahead, but I had issues with the valve seal. So I moved to a 2-stroke. But with the 2-stroke, I messed up my port timing really bad because I just didn't have the precision I needed, and I messed up the port timing and it didn't run. So eventually I moved on to a more sophisticated design. I used a steel cylinder instead, so I went away from a 3D printed cylinder and copper sleeve. I used a steel cylinder with bolt holes in it, and after that, it literally started up. It blew up on the first try, but it started up and tried to run on the first try.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
But that's the innovation, right? So here at Hidden Horsepower, what's always been the story is that everyone that has a great innovation was through trial and error. It was coming up with that passion, that idea, and then trying to execute it, and then struggling through all the iterations before you finally just hit pay dirt. Right, so that's cool to see you did that. So when you began to model this, where did you get inspiration from? Where did you what resources did you tap into to figure out, oh, my push rod needs to be here, it needs to be this thick. There's so many, like probably a million decisions you have to make. Where did that come from?
I literally started, I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew I was going to design an engine, and I literally just started with the crankcase and just worked my way up. I knew that there were certain parts like the head and the cylinder and the valves I could not 3D print because they just can't because 3D printed parts can't take it. But I just, like the camshaft, I hand ground it with a hand file.
But, okay, I get that. Where did you get the knowledge of, okay, it needs to be, I'll make this cam, the center line's going to be, an inch in diameter, and I want 250 lift, or I want 500 lift. Where did you go to get information to make those decisions?
I think a lot of it came from watching YouTube videos on go-kart building on go-kart building.
Right.
But other than that, like I didn't even know about camshaft lift when I started. I just built it.
So give us an example.
You jumped
of
into the deep.
No, I like it's crazy in a fun and exciting way. The size of this engine, how big is it? What are the dimensions?
180 cc's. It is about 1.5 feet tall. By, if you include the carburetor, it's probably 1 foot wide.
Okay, so the go-kart single cylinder inspiration is obvious there when you look at it.
Yeah, size wise, it wasn't intentional, but it's there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what you knew, right? You've been seeing those, so you just basically modeled what you'd seen.
Yep.
Cool stuff.
Right. Well, and using the 3D printing as well. Like that's we've been talking for years about how like this is going to be the thing, the technology that really drives things into the future. This is it in practice.
Right.
A kid 3D printed his own engine because he could do that. That wasn't possible in the past. But even 3D printing in general, like where did you pick that up?
So I actually learned about 3D printing through YouTube. I saw some videos about people 3D printing. I was like, seems cool, so I picked it up. I got my printer 4 years ago and I started my engine building a year ago. So I had a 3D printer for 3 years. So I had decent knowledge in 3D printing, so that really helped.
Yeah, you made other stuff, so you had.
Yeah.
Did you choose any different filament materials for the engine compared to what you did before?
So normally I used PLA, but I switched over to PETG because it's much more impact resistance.
Yeah. All right. And that worked out?
Yep. Connecting rod, I don't know how it handled it, but it did. Wow. PETG connecting rod, 3D printed.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is fun because you just did something totally out there and it worked. What do your friends think about this? What your friends? I imagine you have friends your own age. Are they into it? Do they think you're doing interesting stuff? What's going on with that?
They definitely wouldn't build their own engine. They think it's pretty cool. They think it's crazy that I did it.
We did too, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's a little crazy, but
we love it. We love it
in a good mad scientist kind of way.
Yeah, I would say the funniest thing I remember is my friend Brady. He came over to when I was testing my engine with an electric turbocharger, and I had the carburetor going into the turbo, and he was like, yeah, no.
So they're helping.
Yeah,
they're helping.
Well,
out.
he was. I guess there's a high chance that if it backfires, because it was a 2-stroke at the time, if it backfires, I could explode the turbo.
Right.
So, yeah. There's probably been a very large amount of times I could have gotten severely injured while making it.
Right. Hey, that's racing.
But here I am.
That was racing.
So with the camshaft, back to this.
Yes.
So did you 3D print the camshaft and then you were shaping the lobes because of how irregular shape it is, right?
So actually, when I made the original camshaft was fully 3D printed, no post-processing, just fully 3D printed.
Okay.
I then moved to, I just used a sand casting mold, pushed the camshaft into the mold, casted it, and then I stuck it in my lathe and literally used a hand file and filed the lobes.
Yeah.
No template or anything, just filed them.
Like it should open.
We got to introduce him to Billy.
Right. Well, and that brings me to this, which I think is like, all right, what do you want to do? Like, where's this going? You're obviously, you found something you like, you're interested. You're at PRI, you see that there's round track and there's go-karts and there's drag racing and there's all these different disciplines. The people who make the machines back here, have you focused on an interest that you want to pursue in the future?
Yes, I have actually. I know for a fact I want to go for mechanical engineering. I think it'll fit me really good, and the knowledge in mechanical engineering, it'll help me greatly with what I want to do.
Which is like dominate the world.
Yeah, just building stuff. I like building stuff and designing and building it.
That's how it's supposed to work.
Doug Yates, give this guy a call.
Yeah, right. And I really believe we should get some sort of a headhunter fee for like Keith Jones discovered. How did you get connected to Keith and Total Seal and these guys?
So actually, I got connected to Keith through Matt Hartford. I met Matt Hartford at BRI, Brainerd International Raceway, this summer in August. And I actually, so going back even further.
I was there.
Were you there when I met Jason Galvin?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so it was you and Jason Galvin connected me with Matt Hartford, and I went and talked to him, and he gave me his phone number.
Oh my
and
goodness,
from there,
it all comes together. I was sort of involved in the origin of this. I feel proud. No, this is amazing. That's cool. Well, so you're a drag race. You were hanging out at the drag race.
Yep.
Which is, I'm proud of that too, right? So Minnesota's home?
Yep.
That's
okay,
it.
so we got to introduce him to Jason Line.
Yes.
You need to
or Greg
know
Anderson,
Jason Line.
or Greg Anderson,
right,
who was just here.
Right.
You better watch out. Someone's gonna try to put you to work. You know, I don't know. Like, you're gonna try to get this guy.
Yeah.
They're all gonna try to get London.
Yeah.
You gotta talk to Lake first. That's what I'm saying.
You need to do some internships before you go to college. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Lake,
or
give this kid some
either
advice.
Summer college, intern. I mean, seriously, guys like Jason and Greg are native Minnesotans, are fantastic engine builders. I think getting involved with some of those guys, obviously you have skills with CAD, and you understand 3D printing. I think your skill set you already have today would be a benefit to some of the professional engine builders out there right now, and that would only just accelerate your learning curve in terms of where you want to be eventually. It's all practical. That's the great thing about racing, which is why people like us love it so much, is that you don't have to wait years for the outcome. Sometimes it's minutes or days, right? Like when you're doing, like, I have an idea, I want to make it happen. And you can see the fruit of your labor and your idea so quickly. That's what racing's awesome about, is you can go from concept to reality quickly, and then it gets judged.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you can know, does it work or not? Because if it wins races, it's good. If it doesn't win races, maybe it's not so good.
I think additive manufacturing with metal 3D printing and SLS will be huge for the industry, because I think it'll be huge because, like, you guys making piston rings, you could take Inconel powder and make an Inconel piston ring really cheap, really fast, and all you have to do for post-processing is just sand it. That's it. I think it'll be huge.
London, for other kids out there, you know, you're 16, you're a teenager, but for people that are watching this, maybe their son is interested, etc. You got a message for anyone that's kind of got a mindset like you out there about pursuing your dreams?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Like Nike said.
There you go. London Zapzulka here at the PRI Show, Hidden Horsepower booth, just amazing. 3D printed his own engine. This is not the last you're going to hear of him. More to come from PRI 2024. Hidden Horsepower presented by Total Seal Piston Rings on location 2024 PRI with the president of PRI Lake. How did we do this?
I have no idea. It's like magic.
Mr. Mike Good. He's been making the rounds. Mike, 2024, 25 coming up. PRI feels like it's never been stronger.
Oh my gosh, you said it perfectly. This show had so much momentum building up to it. All the metrics that we were seeing, all the interactions we were seeing with the industry, all the calls we were getting, just showed that this year was going to be a little different. It's you know, everyone uses COVID as that kind of starting point. You know, this is back to those pre-COVID playground, you know, and so it's got a great feel to it. I think the overall vibe and energy, if you will, just is really strong here. It's great.
Lake, obviously Total Seal has been at PRI since the beginning.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. It's cool. We have this great booth. It's been in the same location for so many years, always prominent. Kind of cool to be with one of the companies that has been a part of PRI since the
100%.
very beginning.
Well, this is the epicenter. This is it. I mean,
Right.
This is where the season starts, right? Yes, technically next year is next month, but it starts now.
That's
And
right.
This is
That's right.
It's not the end. This is the beginning, really, for racing.
Right now, everyone's walking through this building thinking about where am I going to make my investments next year? What do I want to do different next year? What innovations are going to be impacting my year next year? And, so that's all here.
Yeah.
And it's spectacular. Well said.
Well, it's also the connections too. So the technical part is huge.
Right.
As a manufacturer, you always have new products, what's next, and you're doing a lot of education, which there's great educational resources here.
That's right.
That's one of the reasons, you say, I can stay home and I'll read about it online. Okay, yeah, but you'll never hear Billy Godbold give a seminar when you're sitting at home.
Well said.
Right? There's value in being here for those things. There's also a lot of value in just in the casual relationships and conversations you have here. That information you'll never get otherwise. If you're not here, you're just missing it.
100%. You touched on 2 points. One, the fraternal aspect of this, the connective tissue that is taking place in this building. And, the restaurants love us because there's so many networking and catch-up meetings and reunions, I'll call them, that are taking place at St. Elmo's and Harry and Izzy's and all these landmark restaurants. And that's a huge part of this show is the connective aspect of it. People sometimes these people don't see each other except at the PRI Show.
Oh, yeah.
This is their annual reunion to catch up. The other point you brought up was around the education. There is so much here. We're constantly evolving that. I'm challenging the team. They're challenging me. We're challenging each other. We're out talking to customers. What do we need to be doing? So if you think about the educational tracks, it's really kind of 2 playgrounds. You have this, I can go learn the fundamentals of a camshaft, how to use your products, get the most bang for my buck out of them. But you also have the business side of it. How can I be interacting with digital marketing strategies to help grow my company? So it's those business services, and then it's the nitty gritty of the products that are here. So it's cool. It's constantly evolving. The educational aspect is something that I think we're going to continue to make significant investment in because that's what we're trying to do. Connect, protect, advocate, and that all comes through education.
Well, the technology continues to evolve at an even more rapid pace anymore. And because, you look at what technology was 10 years ago,
right?
It was state of the art. And what it is today, it's changed so much that the old school wisdom, it does work.
Right.
But it's not what
you got to reapply it.
Best, right? There's better technologies, there's better things, and we've seen that, with honing and piston rings change a lot in the last 5 years. So if you're not here, you're going to have a harder time keeping up with that evolution in technology, which means as a racer, you're further and further behind to your competition.
And, for us as the people putting on the dance, if you will, putting on the trade show, we've got to continually raise our bar on putting out a product that people will want to come to, because you guys are all making significant investment of time, money, resources. You're pulling people off your sales floors, off your engineering, behind the scenes, and they're coming here. So that's a big ask.
Yeah.
We've got to have a really compelling reason, some we just talked about, but then you have the aspect of just the trade show in general. They're becoming more experiential. I say all the time, if we're doing the same show now, 5 years from now that we're doing today, not a good thing. We've got to continually, now I'll always respect the past and the heritage of what we have here. I don't want to turn this into something that's different from what it is today, but we do have to evolve, and that's through listening to you guys. What do you want? What do you not want? Last year, as an example, over in Lucas Oil, we tried a go-kart track. It was pretty cool, but we really kind of looked at the data, went out and talked to customers, and we're really finding, okay, over there, the best use of space, there's a huge growing industry in the sim world of sim racing. Both of those attract that next generation into it, but sim, a lot of these companies are making the steering wheels. MPI, Max Pappas, right behind us, make steering wheels for sims. There are companies making seats for those sims that have been here 30 plus years. So anyway, long-winded, but lots of cool things going on.
I love it. Well, we have to evolve, in the state of the industry right now is healthy. Let's talk about what are some of the things that you believe will make it more healthy in the near future and in the long-term future.
Well, I think for us, and I talked about this morning at the breakfast, there's all kinds of internal things, but there's a whole lot with PRI, and as a new leader coming into the organization, you have to really kind of gut check yourself to don't go try to fix things that aren't broken. And there's a whole lot about this brand and about this organization that's not broken. But then there's this, okay, what do we need to really be focusing and challenging ourselves on to really get in tune with the industry as a whole? In PRI, a lot of people think about it as 3 days in December, but there's 52 weeks in the year. And it's, I say we launched what's called the 51 initiative. It's what we're doing those other 51 weeks of the year to support the industry. And that's going to take on the form of getting closer to the racetracks, really understanding, that's where all these products are used. And so it's really getting out there, understanding with the racetrack promoters and the racetrack owners, what can we be doing to help you secure your business, protect your racetrack, put people butts in seats, as they say. And then you have I'll be quick, but the other one is the sanctioning bodies. It's really working with them and understanding what do you need to help grow your series? What are some of your growth initiatives that PRI can be an evangelist for? We have a pretty big following, and a lot of people will, through our media, through our magazines, we can be a voice to help them get their voices out to the industry on what they're trying to do, whether you're talking about Pool Town in Bowling Green, Ohio, or Knoxville, Iowa with the Sprint Nationals. Pick the type of racing or the sanctioning body. We want to get closer to them. And then the third one is really where we're making significant investment around that, and I've already talked to it a little bit around attracting the next gen. How do we get the next generation? Our generation, I'm Gen X. I'm of that generation where a lot of Gen X. And a lot of us grew up. We got a familiarity and a love and a passion for this industry because our dads or our moms or our family members were dragging us to the tracks when we were little kids. And I'm not saying that still doesn't happen. It does, because we're doing that with our kids, but not to the degree, my belief, not to the degree that it was happening in the 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And so because of that, we got to take things seriously like sim racing, but we also got to really connect with the education. We have so many great motorsports engineering college institutions, vocational schools, trade schools that are in motorsports and the engineering side of this, that we want to connect with them and say, I don't want to turn this into a job fair, but I want your future employees are those students. And so it's like, how can we bridge that gap and get those students familiar with what's going on here in the industry and give them a path. Exactly. So lots of exciting stuff. It gets my my blood pumping. It's cool.
Well, you mentioned the sim racing, and I do think that you look at the success of that and how big it's become. And you have Max Verstappen racing sim races in between Formula One races.
Right.
That says a lot.
Right. It brings some credibility to it.
Yes. Yeah. And the fact that it's been proven now. I mean, look, I think it's Alex Bowman, right?
Yep.
It went from sim racing to real racing. Sorry.
Yeah.
But the people that are able to make that transition, you realize, okay, this is a place I can start. I can start at home. I don't need to have a toter home. I don't need to have all this stuff. I can really begin to craft my skill, develop the passion for racing and understanding. You can understand so much of the mechanics because these sims are basically like models. High-end race teams are doing simulation
100%
of every vehicle.
Yep.
And the physics models they're using in, we'll call it car sim, are really similar
100%.
to the sim model, the physics models in the sim racing. So if you're not just a driver, you can also learn mechanical engineering, you can be a crew chief and these kind of things. It's a whole new world of possibilities that did not exist when we were growing up.
For sure. I mean, so you go back even 20 years or back when we were kids, for me it was longer than 20 years ago. The only way a 10-year-old was going to get into racing was mom was going to put them in a go-kart. And I love go-karting. I've spent many years doing it. It's a spectacular sport. I want to see that grow and evolve. What sim does, it doesn't hurt the go-karting. It brings a larger audience for that family that can't afford or doesn't have the ability or the knowledge to go into how to get into go-karting. They can put a sim in their basement and let their child understand how a car reacts running through the gears or counter steering through a turn or hitting the apex. So I think it's one more tool alongside karting that helps grab that next generation. And then obviously you get at the professional level where you have a Max Verstappen sitting in a $1 million sim that drives just like his F1 car does. And the sim world is also such a wide spread of technologies from something you go buy at Best Buy for $200 to something that you're going to spend your life savings on.
But ultimately, we want them in a car that's moving on a track somewhere.
Well, right. This is all a stepping stone.
It's a stepping stone
to getting to this.
To get to, well, if you show like I really like this,
right,
then you would want to take the next step
100%.
and be in the car.
It's just
like Lake Stad went over there and won a championship in Europe. Like that's the experience of being at the track with other people.
Yep.
And, you might have to buy a part or two along the way.
We want to see that
kinda
feeder
keeps you
system
going.
start younger.
Right.
And then we also want to make sure that these the college, the teams and the college kids know that there's significant opportunity in the motorsports arena. And, I would challenge, I have 2 kids in college and 1 in high school right now, and my wisdom to them, maybe it's not wisdom, my words to them, don't settle on your dreams. Like, there's a way to connect that. You're only limited by your mindset, and your potential is unlimited. So,
and Formula SAE is fantastic.
100%.
If you're really into gearhead stuff,
Formula SAE.
You don't have to say, well, I gotta go to college and that's a different direction. No, go to college, get involved in Formula SAE, because you're gonna learn so much when you build a car.
Right, and you got guys like Dean Case, who have just been a huge evangelist for doing exactly the things we're talking about. It's awesome.
Let's delve into your personal background a little bit.
Sure.
Talked about the show, talked about racing and all, but like your passion for racing, where did it start? How did you get here?
Sure. That's a long story that I'll give you a quick one on.
Please.
A quick flyover. My father worked for General Motors for 30 plus years. Huge car guy. Dragged me to the tracks. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, northeastern Ohio, and we could only afford to go to the tractor pulls on at the fairgrounds, so to speak, and then it all kind of kept evolving. And we went to sprint, dirt, oval, modifieds, all of that growing up. And then I moved to Indianapolis when I was 12 years old. And now I've been to 29 500s and been around the open wheel and the Brickyard and NHRA track that's out here in Brownsburg. And, all of that was right here in my backyard. And so, it just kind of fed that desire. And so I've always been a fan, always been involved with it. From me behind the wheel, been to several racing schools and had great experiences there, done some track attacks and SCCA type work. I started out early on in my very early youth. I raced BMX bikes. Cool. And then I wanted a motorcycle, a motocross bike, and my dad, God love him, man, but he's like, I'm not going to buy you one, but if you save the money, it's all you. So I, 12 years old, got a paper route and started mowing yards and bought my first, I think it was a CR80 two-stroke, and this is in the mid-'80s, and then I got a DR100 Suzuki four-stroke, and then I got a 1986 Honda CR125 two-stroke. It was just a beast of a bike, and I raced that for about 4 years and evolved and tinkered with it and absolutely loved it, and just did amateur stuff. And so I've always had the need for speed and the adrenaline junkie, and then as I got older and got married and had kids, I started doing the track attacks, modifying my cars and stuff, and having some fun. So it's been awesome. And then right before this, I was president and CEO of a company called Dynamat, a big SEMA exhibitor, which is obviously a sister to PRI. So I was in more of the automotive aftermarket. We had some racing products, but that one was more specific to like the SEMA universe, I'll call it. And global company, had a really good run there, growing that company. I got a text one day that PRI was looking for a president. Said no thanks, and the text hit send. And I was loving what I was doing, and life was good, and I wasn't looking for a job. And the person that sent the text said, well, would you mind at least just having a conversation with the executive team? And so I was like, sure, and I kind of did it as a favor to her and great friend. One thing led to another. I met the team, started having some conversations, met Mike Spagnola, highest credibility and integrity type of individual, and I was like, okay, I think I want to get into this. You reach a point in your life, in your 20s and 30s, you're chasing titles and income. But, I'm 52 years old. I'm chasing working with people I want to be around, and that, have a proper value and moral system, and that just want to do some good in the world. And I found that in the leadership team at SEMA, and they came in here and gave me carte blanche freedom to go do some great things with PRI.
Awesome.
So
that's great. That's great. So it's a passion play the whole
100%.
industry in the end. It's like we're doing this because we love it. We're not working 15-hour days for a paycheck. We're working it because we love it. That's
100%.
a great, exciting story. All right, drag racing though.
Yeah.
So, since I work for the NHRA, I've got a pro
Sure.
stocker here, Total
Yeah.
Seal. NHRA is a big part of PRI. What do you think about where they are and what they're doing?
I think they are continually evolving and reacting and understanding and even follow or setting trends that other sanctioning bodies want to follow. I think they are cutting edge on a lot of things. How they are branding as a marketer, how they are branding and marketing the NHRA brand. And then you have the drivers, you have the Antron Browns, who's tremendous and a dear friend, and those guys just embody competitiveness. And then they do other things, like it's pretty cool. Somebody was talking, like you'll never hear anything about male, female, and NHRA. It's like we put whoever can hit the tree right and get down the track the fastest. We don't go male or female. There's none of that need for that. We've always embraced that, and they live that out. And so there's a whole lot of things that NHRA just kills it at. Brad Gerber and David Kennedy have just been, not only they've been great for me to just learn from them on kind of what their strategies are and how we can better support them, but the NHRA I think is the trajectory they're on right now is nothing but a great thing, and a lot of interesting, a lot of cool things going on in that sanctioning body, if you will.
No, very, very exciting. Mike, really appreciate you making the time to come by for us here. Lakes, did you have any final question for the president?
This is cool. We have the president of PRI in our booth.
No, this is cool, guys, to sit here.
Hidden horsepower.
Yeah.
No, this is great. I've really enjoyed it, and I love the work you guys do. Obviously, thank you so much for the patronage and the loyalty to the program, being here 30 years. That's 30 plus years. That's spectacular. This is our 36th year, 35th show with COVID. We didn't have one, but I think it's just tremendous, and really appreciate the opportunity to sit here and talk to the audience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
very
Mike.
much.
Appreciate you. Hidden horsepower from PRI 2024. More to come, but it's going to be tough to top this.